Welcome to the Connectable Podcast.
The Connectable Podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so this is how we start the podcast, Erin. We don't have, it's not like last time where I do like an official, like, hey, welcome. Nope. We just start talking.
Dive right in.
We just dive right in. So
I'm into it.
and I'm gonna start off. I'm just gonna come at you hot. So we've been following each other on social media for a while.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few of your pictures. I've seen some pictures with you and your boyfriend. I've seen some pictures with you and all of your CrossFit friends. When you guys walk around places, do you guys just feel like superheroes?
Me personally, no. Them, maybe so. They're a lot more ripped than I am. I'm still trying to play catch up with that. A lot of years as a scrawny runner. I'm still trying to build those muscles, but we do get comments every now and then, I would say.
Makes sense.
Like just standing in line, just people saying like, oh my gosh, you guys are all so ripped, or you're so fit, or this and that kind of stuff, which I'm very bad with attention. So I get very like closed off and uncomfortable. But I mean, it's, I know they always what?
Now that you're on a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the first time you asked me, I was terrified. I was so nervous. I was sweating that whole time. I don't think you could tell, but I was so nervous. And I was like, they can't even see me. But still like,
I know. And we've stepped up the game. We've stepped up the game since then. You know, that time was like, audio only.
Video. I was like, is my hair okay? Do I look okay? Am I presentable?
Oh, you're fine. They're stuck looking at me every week. You're fine. Like, it's like, oh, not him again. But no, yeah, I do remember that. That was really funny. That first time. And a bunch of funny stuff happened on that episode.
That one was really fun.
But you know, the cool thing is like people loved it. Like I don't remember what the exact number was, but you know, we can always tell how much people like our guests when the downloads come in, and yours shot way up really fast. Like, oh, really? People really like Erin. So that was awesome. But yeah, it's no, I had to mention it because you were mentioning last time we recorded, Erin was wearing a sleeveless shirt because I think it was during the summer. And at like the middle of the episode, I'm like, well, I just have to get this out there. I feel horrible about myself. Like I know that you're like a different level athlete, but still, I'm just like, man, like maybe one day my arms will look like that. Like when I grow up, that's what I want to look like.
I mean, to be fair, I had just come from the gym, so it's probably just more like swollen than normal. Like maybe we did push-ups that day. I don't remember, but
it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter. It's
trying.
I appreciate that. That's why we like having you on the podcast, because you're very kind and you try to make us feel better, at least me. But anyways, today's guest is Erin Wachter, a friend of ours from previous podcasts, and she's a CrossFit athlete, just an all-around good person. So a runner, you're a bunch of stuff. Like if you want to hear like a lot about her athletic career, go listen to the Character Combine podcast, because we went into all of that twice. But I'm just so thankful that you're a part of this podcast. Like I told you before, and I mean it. You know, we always have kind of like a list. Deb and I have a list of people that we're like, hey, we've had them on before. They're awesome. Like, let's just kind of keep them in mind always, and not try to like abuse their time, but maybe like within 6 months and a year, reach out again. And you're definitely on that list because, you know, you're just a fun person to talk to. So, and I want to say this, really the person who should be thanking you is Deb, because this is the second time you've saved Deb because she had to bail last minute. So Deb, if you're listening to this, which I know you're not, because I don't think you listen to this, it's fine. Send her a message later because she's not listening. But she owes you something, like, I don't know.
I like chocolate. I like Reese's peanut butter cups. I'm your best friend.
You hear that, Deb? You owe her. You owe her.
To you, Deb.
Yeah. We'll make sure she gets this. Don't worry. But anyways, we're always thankful that you're willing to hop on, especially the last couple times it's been last minute. So anyway, that's how we're connected. Like, you know, how do we get connected first?
Spartan, you had
Nick. Nick. And
Nick, and then
you've now that I think about it, now it's all coming back. You saved this podcast or our podcast multiple times, because when we posted Nick's episode, we were having some issues with the hosting site that we were using.
Couldn't listen to it.
And I got a DM from some girl named Erin. She's like, hey, just so you know, man, there's nothing there. I'm like, what? like, oh my gosh. And we just realized the whole thing was down. And so it's like, oh, thank you so much. And then since then, you know, we've been connected. We got connected with you on the podcast, and it's been fun ever since. I also want to say that another thing that you and I connected on, which I had no idea until we kind of followed each other on social media. And I almost hesitate to bring this up because it's still painful. You know what I'm going to say, right? What am I going to say?
The Packers.
The Green Bay Packers. We're both huge Packers fans.
Oh my gosh, that game. How do we? I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it yet.
It's so rough.
Now he might be leaving. Like,
I know.
If he goes to the Niners, like, I don't know what I'll do. Like, do I have to become a Niner fan? Because I really don't want to. They're like, it's Aaron Rodgers. How do you not like Aaron Rodgers?
That's what I'm saying. And obviously I know a lot of people don't care for him right now. I've told people it's like, I'm still a fan. Like I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I'm not a fan. I'm a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. Like I'm not gonna deny it.
I think he's been definitely had a lot of controversy lately, sure. But I think I have to admire that he's willing to stick by his morals and what he believes in. And like, this is me, take it or leave it. Like you kind of have to, especially these days with, do I vaccine? Do I not vaccine? And people are so on the fence and they don't want to be offensive. And he's like, this is what I think. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. And I kind of respect that in him as much as I hate all the negative attention he's getting.
Right. No,
I have to commend him in that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, it's his choice, whatever he decides. And, you know, some of that stuff, like as far as, you know, some of that stuff I'm sure he could have handled better, but my brother made a good point. He's like, you know, it's always easy hindsight or from a third party to say, oh yeah, I would have definitely told the truth in that situation. It's like, how many times have we lied about even the smallest things because it was uncomfortable? You know, so, you know, I agree. I think whether you agree with him or not, I think the fact that he's stuck by it, you know, at least he's staying true to himself, but it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens with the Packers. But, you know, I don't know how you feel. Sometimes I go into these playoff games these days, or the last however many years, 10 years, and I just have such a negative, like I'm a pretty optimistic person just by nature. With the Packers in the playoffs, I'm like, my heart's gonna get broken again because there's been so many of these devastating losses.
He's like 0-7 now against the Niners in the playoffs. Like he's literally never beat them.
It hurts so much.
You guys had home field advantage. You had weather advantage. Like the Niners don't play in that. Like what happened? I got to give it to the Niners special teams though. I mean, they scored every single point though in the whole game.
Yeah.
Their offense scored nothing. Their defense, I mean, they only held us to 10, but.
Right. Just so many goofy things happened in that game. Yeah. It was a bummer. So, you know, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm like, you're here. I feel like we needed to talk about it.
Oh my goodness. Maybe next year, I guess we'll see.
Next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So anyways, I'm talking a lot. I apologize. People are listening for you.
The podcast, we're supposed to talk.
Thank you. I agree with that. You know, it's tough about these two. It's like, this is your first time on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like we've done multiple podcasts together. So it's always a challenge when you bring on someone to a new podcast, but you have some history with them, because like, it just feels like a normal conversation. It's like, oh yeah. Our new audience has no clue what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just assuming it's like, oh yeah, you know Erin, right? She's been on 3 times. You know, like we don't need to cover the normal stuff.
We don't need another intro.
Yeah. That being said, here we go. We're gonna do another intro. All so like I said, you are a CrossFit athlete, runner. So tell us just a little bit about how you got into that world, when you started that, specifically like the CrossFit. Like, how did you get into that world? When did it start? And then where did this passion for that come from?
So actually it was kind of random that I joined. It was 2016 and I was trying for the Olympic trials for the marathon, got injured, the end of 2015 and didn't get to get a qualifying time in. And so I kind of had just been starting to get a little bit of burnout with running because I was working full time, running every single morning at 5:30, sometimes earlier, going to work all day and either running again or lifting in the afternoon. So most days of the week I was doing double days. I was just starting to get exhausted. And then the gym I was going to, I was actually dating the owner and we broke up, so wasn't going there anymore. And then finally decided like, okay, I just need to find a new gym. I need to find a new group of people because all my friends were at his gym. So it kind of became one of those like, now I'm just really alone type thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk in this gym, see what it's about. I would drive by every single day to and from work and see them. There's a bike path right along the road that they would run on. So I'd see them all the time. So I just happened to pop in one day after work just to check it out. And there was nobody in the gym. There's 2 people. And so I was like, oh man, maybe I don't want to go to this gym. And so one of the coaches walked up to me and they're like, hey, how are you? Like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, just checking out. Like, I need a new gym. And she's like, oh, we're doing a swim wad today. And I'm like, what's a swim wad? And the lake is 1 mile from the gym. And so during the summer times when it's hot and the lake's high enough, we run from the gym to the lake. We do workouts with swimming and stuff on the beach and then run back. And I was like, really? You guys do that? And I was like, this is my place. Like, okay, I'm coming back. So I had a race, I think coming up that weekend. So I was like, yeah, I have a race coming up. Like, I'm going to come in next week and try it out. And so I did. And kind of just, it became like, you know, I've always been into fitness and lifted weights, but never CrossFit style, really, like here and there, like HIIT training. But everyone was very welcoming at the gym. And then it kind of became a nice change from just running and just basic, like we call it bro sesh lifting, you know, just lifting at a crunch or 24 hours, something like that. So it just became like a nice change. It was different every day because I was, like I was saying earlier, I was kind of getting burnt out, kind of stagnant. So it started there where I was like, okay, I can still run, I can do this, but like there's variety in my training. And then it slowly became, I'm really bad at this sport. Like there's a lot of things I can't do. It became more of a challenge of like, okay, now I want to be able to do all these things. There's, you know, I can't do a muscle up. I can't do a pistol squat, you know, like a single leg squat. I can't do this. I can't do that. Or, you know, these girls are in there lifting, you know, 3 times their body weight in a deadlift. And I'm like, I mean, I can maybe do 150 or something, you know, I don't remember what it was. Not very good. And so it kind of became more like, I liked the challenge of, I have all these things I can work on, where running, all you can do is get faster, which is always ultimately the goal. But it just slowly kind of became like, I enjoyed the challenge. And then in 2018, I went back to run the marathon and realized how lonely I was with running. And I had a new job where I had to run at like 4:30 in the morning to get my workouts in. And 2 days of the week, my dad would ride his bike next to me, like the harder, more interval workouts. Mm-hmm. But it was, you know, the other days of the week, I was out the door early in the dark, in the cold by myself. And having come from CrossFit, where it's this entire community of everyone supporting everyone, to now I'm just by myself, me and my iPod all the time. I was kind of like, this sucks. Like, how did I do this for so long? Like, but I had trained by myself for so long. I was kind of ignorant to the fact, you know, other than college, when I had a team, I'd basically trained by myself most of my running career. So going from CrossFit, where I have a group of 20 people in a class, everyone cheering everyone, and you're competitive, you're pushing each other, to now I'm just by myself. I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Like, I'm really not enjoying it, which was really hard. There's a lot of tears because, you know, trying to go to the Olympic trials, it's a major goal. And I felt like, am I giving up on my goal? Am I not? But when it came down to it, I was like, I just don't enjoy it. And if I'm not enjoying it, what's the point? So then from there, I did Spartans in 2019, so I could still mix up running. I felt like Spartans were like a good mix of like running and CrossFit in one. Sure. And then after COVID, all the Spartan races were basically closed. And I was like, I got into a big CrossFit competition as a team. And I was like, well, I'm really weak. I should probably work on my strength. And so I stopped running to just build more strength, and then saw a lot more progression within CrossFit. And now I've kind of just drank the Kool-Aid, and here we are.
That's awesome. So I'm taking just a couple of notes, a couple of the things you said. I always feel bad. I should tell people ahead of time, like, why is he looking down? I'm taking notes.
Oh, no.
So a couple of thoughts. One, it's interesting that so obviously this is called Connectable because, we try to have conversations that are relatable, that can help people connect to our guests, can connect to each other.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that you said, that you had this thought when you went on that run, those early morning runs, where it's like, dang, I'm lonely doing this. It was, you kind of alluded to it too. Like, it wasn't as much fun or as exciting as what you were doing in the CrossFit world, but like this big overarching theme was, I'm just lonely, which, is the whole idea of this podcast, like connection, right? Like, you were missing that connection piece that is so ingrained in the culture of CrossFit, which I've never been to a CrossFit gym, but like when we follow a couple of different people that do it, and it's very clear from the pictures that it's a community thing. And you and I have talked about this before, right?
Yeah.
Like and I forgot, I asked you a question a couple of podcasts ago about, like, is it intimidating? Do you feel weird going there? And you're like, it's a very accepting community where everybody is rooting for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not an individual thing. It's an individual thing, but as a group, everybody's on the same team.
Yeah.
And so it's just really interesting that loneliness was a big factor in that decision.
It was like, I have a great group of running girlfriends, but with my work schedule and how early I had to run, they didn't want to be up that early, and I don't blame them. I didn't want to be up that early.
Right.
And then, doing double days, they either have their life going on, or I'm running close to work to beat it getting dark, so I'm not running by myself in the dark, where they couldn't necessarily meet up. So I have great groups of friends still from running, but just with scheduling, it just didn't work out. And so I would, wake up in the morning, run alone, run my second run alone, go to the gym alone. And, I was going to like Crunch Fitness on my way home, and just everyone has their earphones in and nobody looks at each other. Nobody talks to each other. I was like, this is just not, now that I've been awakened to what, group fitness, I guess you can call it, is, I was like, I like this. Like, I've been training by myself for so long that, ignorance was bliss in that situation, where I was like, this is just normal to me. This is how it's always been. I had to learn to motivate and push myself, which was still there in 2018. But I just remember waking up a lot of mornings, my alarm would go off at 4:00, and I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go run. And I didn't like having those thoughts, because like, why am I doing this if I don't want to be doing it?
Right.
But it was a very hard decision to just be like, I need to step away, because it's been my whole life since I was 9 was running. And like, it was like my identity. Like, everyone at the gym calls me E-Run, like, I'm not even Erin anymore. I'm just E-Run, which is totally fine. I love that they call me that.
Yeah.
But it was like, running was my identity, and to kind of like move away from that really was like a tough transition. Every once in a while, I still have those moments, because I'm just, I hate saying this because it makes me sound so cocky, but like, I'm good at running. I'm used to being on a podium or winning, not everything, but like fairly often. And in CrossFit, I'm just absolutely not. Like, I'm not that great. And so I struggle sometimes. And like, it's really been a good ego check, I think, for me. Like, not that I thought I was this super impressive runner or anything, because there's plenty of women who can beat me. But it's been a hard, like, coming from that life where it's like, okay, I'm used to being in the top whatever percent, and now I'm just not there. Kind of humbling. And which also in the same way is like, well, now I know I want to get better. You know what I mean? Like, so it was a rough kind of year, I'd say, in 2020.
Yeah, no, I bet. I was going to agree with you. I don't know what you mean, because I've never been an elite athlete. I'm just like a weekend warrior. So I see what you're saying. That's really interesting.
Able to relate in some, like, if you ever, like, your identity was all about something, and then it was kind of removed, it could be anything at all. You're a stamp collector, and now you just hate stamps. Like, it's just hard when a big, huge part of your life just isn't what it used to be to you anymore, and you don't quite know how to process that.
Right. I would love to meet the person who hates stamps now, because they will stamp. Can you imagine?
I didn't know what else to say. The first thing that pops in my head, I was like, this is a horrible example, but
hey, you made your point. I just imagine that person just like gets a letter in the mail. It's like, no, and just chucks it. Like,
I don't want any more stamps. I already have this one.
No more.
Yeah, but anything, anyone's passion could be painting or, pottery.
Yeah.
gardening, mushroom hunting, like whatever. And it's like, you've just been so excited and so enthusiastic about it for so long. And it just, at one point suddenly just flips. You're kind of like, I'm not sure what's happening or why this is happening.
Right.
Try to do a lot of like internal reflection, like, why am I bored? Why am I not enjoying this? Why am I lonely? Like, I've been fine. I've been running by myself for years. Like, why now? But just having that community and that connection with everyone. I missed all my friends.
Right.
No,
I get that for sure. I would say I joke about the stamp thing, but I mean, for myself, like podcasting, right? When like, and because we recorded with you in person. You were one of our earlier guests. So like Deb and I used to record this or the other podcast in person, and we would still be recording in person. But, back then, because of the pandemic, things kind of shut down. And now we're recording, like this for other reasons. It's just for my life, it's easier right now. But yeah, I mean, I had that thought before, and I was talking to my wife about that one time. Like, man, it would be weird if Zoom wasn't a thing. And, when stuff went shut down, it's like, okay, you're done with podcasting. And then in 2 years, you're still not podcasting. It's like, it is hard to think about. Like, I would not want to live in that world, because I love this so much. And this is my passion. And that would be tough for sure. It would, I'm sure I'd be incredibly grumpy. I would probably start talking to people, like talking to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would just go in the office, talk on the mic. It's like, who are you talking to? Nobody. I'm just talking because it makes me feel good.
Getting my thoughts out. Okay.
Yeah. Just get my thoughts out. But that's interesting. Well, I was going to say, you kind of mentioned this already, but I was going to ask, was it helpful having another competitive thing to go to rather than because you hear so many, like we've talked about this before, there's so many athletes where their identity is wrapped up in their sport. They played at a high level, like D1 college, or maybe they went professional. And then it all ends because of an injury, or it ends because, the time's just up and they don't want to do it anymore. But they're not going necessarily from one competitive thing to another. They might just be like in that kind of weird gray area where they're like, I'm just
like, what am I doing?
I'm not doing anything anymore.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, I mean, have you thought about that? Like, how much did it help you going from one competition to another rather than just going cold turkey, nothing?
I think I would have struggled way, way more. Because I think deep down, my drive is competing. I'm a very competitive person. I like competing, and I think it came out in running because that's what I was good at. So I think if I didn't have CrossFit or something like that to push me, I think I would have struggled a lot more mentally of like, okay, what do I even do now? Because even on my rest days, I'm at home and I'm like, what do people do? Like, we don't have cable, so I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
So I kind of sit there and I'm like, I don't know what to do with my life. So I feel like if I didn't have CrossFit on the other days of the week, I don't know what I would be doing. And especially with the shutdown and everything, when this all happened, because I love traveling, but that was all kind of gone. So I think if I didn't have CrossFit, because I mean, I've done mountain bike races. I just did that Spartan Deca Strong that they've now started.
Nice.
But even if it's not CrossFit, it's just something to compete in. Like, I just like pushing myself and competing. So I think if I didn't have anything at all, I would have really been crazy. Probably an emotional bag of crap.
For sure. That would be brutal. So luckily you had that to kind of lean into when you made that transition. Let me ask you this. Okay. Changing subjects a little bit, staying on this, this WOD workout thing. Okay. So, I've been doing more of those recently, like at home, because just right now, time-wise, because of the two little ones, the gym's been a little bit more challenging. So I've been trying to get these WOD workouts in. I'm gonna be honest with you, I hate them because I'm like, it makes you realize how bad of shape you're in. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die. And so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you this. Okay. I did this one last night. Okay. I'm gonna tell you what the workout is. I'm gonna tell you. I want to hear what you think your time would be. And I want to see how bad my time is. Okay.
No, we don't want to make people feel bad here. It's just feel good.
It's fine. We've made people feel bad before. They survive. It's cool. So, and it gives them a goal to go after. Okay. So this is what it was. Okay. 100 air squats, 80 forward lunges, 60 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, 20 burpees, 40 V-ups, 60 push-ups, 80 reverse lunges, and 100 air squats. What do you think you would do that in?
Whoa. I think the push-ups would take me a while. I'm not super great at push-ups. What was it? 100 air squats?
Mm-hmm. So is that like a reverse pyramid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ascending, descending.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's all body weight?
All body weight. I hope so. That's how I did it. That's the only way it's going to happen. If it like dumbbells or anything like that, I would pass over that workout so quickly.
Nope. Swipe left.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. I think the push-ups would take me a while. I have really pretty poor shoulder mobility. So like I struggle, like the workout we did last night had a lot of push-ups, and the first round I maybe we had to do, well, we'll go into that afterward.
Yeah.
I would say probably 20 burpees. Then what was after the burpees? 40 what?
40 V-ups.
Ooh.
So it goes 40 sit-ups, 20 burpees, 40 V-ups.
Maybe somewhere between like 15 to 20 minutes. What did you get?
Oh, it was, I did 27 minutes. And let me say this too. I guarantee I did not do V-ups correctly. And I guarantee my push-ups were not great. So was there cheating involved? Probably. Probably. Did I feel like I did the entire workout perfectly? Yeah, my body felt like, hey, don't ever do that again. So
then you probably got the correct stimulus anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to point out to everybody, like, she is an awesome athlete. So no, it's a good thing. Like I said, people that listen to this, they're gonna love this. They're gonna love that. So those workouts are really tough. And sometimes I'm gonna be honest, I will go through, because I follow a couple of different accounts on Instagram now, and some of them like, oh, it doesn't seem too bad, and then you do it, I'm like, like I'm not ready to die.
There's the sneaky hard ones that you're like, there's 3 different movements. You're like, 3 movements, that's not bad. And then you do it and you're like, that was hell. Like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
But those workouts like yours, like you did last night, those are kind of my wheelhouse, because it's we call them like chipper workouts, because you kind of just chip away at the reps.
Okay.
Those are kind of my wheelhouse because they're more like cardio endurance involved. Those are the ones I usually excel at, versus like something like that with heavy weight. Like we had qualifiers for that competition in January. Yeah. And they had a body weight chipper, and then they had a barbell chipper, like back to back. So you had 12 minutes to do the body weight. At 12 minutes, you went right into the barbell. And on the leaderboard, my body weight chipper, because I had burpees, what did I have? Burpees, pull-ups, box jump overs, and then pistols. I think I was like 7th in the rankings. And I think my barbell was like 30th or something like that. So like the body weight long chippers that are just cardio based, those are all that marathon training, I have like an engine.
Right. Makes sense.
The barbell, throw a barbell in there, and I just struggle a little bit more. Like I just don't have those fine motor skills and strength there yet from all the running. But yeah, so that's the only reason I thought maybe with yours it'd be like 15 to 20 is like, that's just kind of my wheelhouse right there. That makes sense. Well, yeah, a lot of them have, not this one didn't have it, but a lot of those workouts have like, hey, this is kind of your target time. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen. So I'm not going to post the time, because there's no way it's going to happen. Some of them, you can't go into the workout thinking that, then it's definitely not going to happen. I've accepted it. It's fine. It's not like I'm new to this world, so I'm trying to get used to it. You should come to the gym one time. I think you would like it. Maybe. It's probably not going to happen. I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably going to happen. It's more fun to watch from that. Yeah, it's more fun to watch from the outside. But that being said, though, like how do people typically, from your opinion, like how do people typically get into this? Because obviously not everybody is an elite runner that decided to stop running and go into CrossFit. Like when you see people come to the gym, like what is the normal story? Is it someone, hey, I'm looking for a new workout, I'm bored with my workout? Or is it, hey, I have no idea what happens here. Like, what is CrossFit? Oh, this is what CrossFit is. Like, what is the typical story that you hear? Probably a little bit of both. I think a lot of people who go to like a box gym, or a big, the big box, like Gold's Gym or CalFit, I think they also get kind of bored with like the routine of things. Mm-hmm. And then, there's just CrossFit's kind of always out there in their ear. You see it on Instagram, and everyone probably has a friend that does it. Everyone talks about that community. So I think a lot of people either worked out on their own and are just like, I need a change. I need something new. I want people, or it's like you said, like, I'm getting new into working out. I've heard about this. I just want to see what it's like, and then kind of go from there. Because I would say the majority of the members at our CrossFit gym are just everyday people who want to come in and get a workout. Never compete. They just come in. They have their group of friends. Like I went to, it's kind of a joke, the 4 p.m. class is like its own little cult. It's always like the biggest class, and everyone is always the same people, but it's, you know, all age ranges. There's this guy Banning, who's a pastor who's probably in his 40s, and Bob, who's in his 40s, and they're really good friends. But like, we all love kind of, you know, shit talking with them, and we all poke fun at each other. So I think everyone kind of comes in just looking for a change or something new. Yeah. And then the community just sucks them in, and you can't get away. Like, we've had so many new members recently, and I love it. So I'm always like, how are you? Like, my name's Erin. Who are you? Like, how's it been? Yeah. You know, like, there was a guy, I think today was his 3rd day. I'm like, how's it going so far? And he's like, well, everything hurts. I was like, it'll go away, even though it really won't, because I feel like I'm sore. I'm like literally sore head to toe today too from this week. So it's just kind of like you get sucked in with the community and the challenge and the push, and everyone's cheering everyone. Like, I don't think there's a day that goes by that someone doesn't cheer for me in the middle of a workout, whether they're early for the next class or staying late to do extra. Like, everyone's always just kind of there. So I think that's what really sucks people in. But majority of people are just kind of non-athletes, or people who are athletes in college and want to get back into fitness, just kind of like looking for that workout. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. There's someone we follow on Instagram for Connectable. Her name's Zoe, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's kind of in that world with you guys. She has a lot of funny stuff and talks about like CrossFit, lifting, Spartan races, all that stuff. Like I said, I forgot. I know who you're talking about. She lives in Southern California, maybe? I think so. She has like a really long last name, but yeah. I'll never forget. She posted something where she was like, I did a regular, like you said, what'd you say, a bro workout? Bro sesh. She's like, I did that. And it's like, I don't know how people do this, because you're in there for like what, hour to hour and a half. And you guys are in there for what, like 30 minutes, our 45 minutes? Are an hour long. So there's usually like a warm up, some kind of skill that's either a strength movement, or we do drills for certain, like the gymnastics movements. Like today's was ring muscle up work. So we do like drills for ring muscle ups, just so you have more focused attention, where you're not always trying to figure out how to do it in the middle of a workout. Sure. And then we have the workout. So each class is about an hour long. Right. Which is probably, I think from what I understand, is part of the appeal of CrossFit is you're in there. Get out. Yeah. It's quick. You can squeeze it in there, and you're going to feel like you've been in there for 3 hours, because you know how like intense. Yesterday's was exhausting, and it was a 20-minute clock. That was it. But you had a mile run, 50 kettlebell swings, 50 burpees. And then you do, so in CrossFit, they have all these workouts named after women. Yeah. And they're like benchmark workouts. And so this one was Cindy, where you do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 air squats. So after you finish the mile, the kettlebell swings, and the burpees, whatever time you had left in the 20 minutes, you went through those rounds as many as possible. And so your total number of reps for the day is your score. So it's 20 minutes, but at the end, everyone's laying on the ground. You know, my arms today, I can barely like extend them. They're so sore right here. Oh, so it's like a 20-minute workout and your butt's kicked. Like today's was a 12-minute workout, but it was all squat cleans. You know, you had 6 rounds of 6 reps, but the weight went up in each one. So by the end, the heavier weight, you're kind of like, all right, I'm a little tired. Yeah, I'm good here. Yeah. Yeah. So and some of them will be 40-minute long chipper workouts like yours that you mentioned, like long ones. So it's just always varies too. So that's what I like too, is it's like, 1, I don't have to come up with a workout if I don't want to. And 2, it's just, you get short, fast workouts, you get long workouts, you get strength workouts, you kind of hit all facets of it. And there's so many different movements, like you can never run out of options. Right. Which keeps it interesting all the time, which I imagine again is like a huge part of the appeal. Now, I'm going to probably bring this up every time that you're on this podcast, because I did last time, and it's just this image is stuck in my head. Now it's tradition.
before you were on our podcast, it was almost a year ago, I think you were on the podcast, and you had just posted a picture of one of the workouts you did, and it looked like you had just gone around slapping a bunch of strawberries because there was these red marks across your hand.
Yeah,
Blisters tore. Yeah, it was awful. Now is that a common thing, or is that more because of the level? Because I mean, you're still trying to compete, right? Like,
yeah,
you still enter competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is that like a common thing for CrossFit, or is it more when you're really trying to compete, then you start seeing that kind of brutal aftermath?
It's common. You try to avoid it, but it's
Sure.
usually happens with workouts that have a lot of pull-ups or a lot of toe to bar, a lot of bar work.
Sure.
And I think that particular one was like I think we had like 90 pull-ups or something like that. And I'm like rep 84, I ripped my hand. So it's a lot of times so it's a lot of just friction on the bar.
Yeah.
So I should have just done smaller sets, but I thought I was fine. So when I hit 84 and I was like, I just felt that happen and I just had a huge rip. So that's like one of the owner is always like, rule number 1, do not tear your hand. So you try to avoid it, but it does happen with workouts like that just have a ton of pull-ups or bar work. But
got it. So it's not like
rips, yeah.
So it's not like a badge of honor. It's more like you want to avoid it.
You do want to avoid it, but you do feel kind of like a badass, like, look
Sure.
at my hand, I'm covered in blood and I finished the workout. But really it's like,
Yeah.
well, you were an idiot and you should have just done smaller sets.
Okay.
But you still kind of feel cool when it happens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think I've torn since that. I remember you bringing it up. I don't think I've torn since then. Maybe I lied. Maybe I think I tore my finger here trying to do ring muscle ups because you have to like turn over the bar.
Sure.
But I've been pretty good lately.
There you go.
Seen any tears in a while.
Well done. Yeah, no, that looked awful. I felt
was pretty bad.
Like, she can't wash her hands for like a month.
Oh, you can't straighten them, like, it gets really tight.
Yeah. You
have to keep it with like Neosporin or something like that and trying to shower, and like I do one of these under the water just to tell the stops. And I'm like, okay, I can wash my hair now.
It's like my hands are clean enough. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned this back then, but I remember I was helping my dad with my grandma's fence. It had come down.
Yeah, so, you said you were shoveling, or
you do remember this? Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, it was my whole palms. And again, it was my own fault because my dad's like, "Hey, you want some gloves?" I'm like, "Gloves? Come on, man. I'm not a wimp." Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, as I'm doing dishes that night, I'm like, my fingers.
I regret everything.
Oh, it hurts so bad. And it's like you try to hide it as much as possible, but people can tell. It's like, oh, look at that guy over there. He can't even wash his hands. Yeah, it's the worst. I just,
it hurts. It's the same thing with like rope climbs. Sometimes when like coming down the rope and you get that burn on your shin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that one hurts.
Yeah. So if anybody's looking to do CrossFit, this sounds like fun, right?
Yeah, sure. I just totally convinced everyone to do it.
It was a really good pitch until this point when I brought up the hands. It's like,
sorry, Blair, I dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Blair's the owner.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had another question for you. What was the question? Oh, so let me ask you this. So I feel like I know you've heard this a lot. I've heard it. People joke about CrossFitters and saying, I mean, what's the saying? Like, how much they talk about CrossFit?
Yeah, we're a cult.
Yeah, stuff like that. How do you guys feel about that? Is it just like a fun joke for you guys now, or?
Yeah, it's just kind of because it's also kind of true. Like, there's definitely that stigma where it's like, you're talking about the work. Like, if you're with your group of friends from the gym, at some point the gym is going to be brought up, and what workout, or like, this person cheated on this rep, or, oh my gosh, did you guys do this workout? I'm like, my back is so sore. Like, it just always does kind of come up, but the joke is also like, we try to push everybody.
Sure.
And I don't experience that nearly as much. Like, I'll tell people like I just told you should come to the gym, like, but not more because it's like, it's the best workout ever. It's like, the community is just so fun. And like, the gym to me is just a fun place. Like, all my friends are there. So it's more, I think it comes across like we're the best, we're the badass, most, people on the planet. But it's like, no, like, just come down. We have so much fun.
Right. Which again, it ties into the connection thing. Like, well, I think, with anything, like you have to connect with it. You have to connect with the activity you love in order to get in the best shape possible, right? So like if you hate running, probably not the way you should go if you're trying to get in better shape, right? Because you're not going to stick with it. But if you love, I mean, even it could be something crazy, like if you love doing like a Zumba class, right? It's not for everybody, but if that's the thing you love doing,
100%.
do
That's
it.
what I tell all my clients, like when I coach them.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, I ask every single one, what do you enjoy doing? Because I will make sure that stuff is in your program. Like, we've got to do the stuff you don't always enjoy because it's just necessary. Or people who just come and like, how do I start working out? I'm like, just find something you like to do.
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't have to be CrossFit, it doesn't have to be running. Like you said, Zumba or spin or Orange Theory, or, go hiking, whatever just gets you moving. Like,
Right.
that's going to be the best form of workout. Like, it's not that CrossFit is superior to anything else. It's just, I enjoy CrossFit. So for me, it is the best. Where for you, it might be, swimming or your home workouts or whatever is going to get you to do it is
Right.
really all like the best workout is.
Right.
I think people with CrossFit know that. They just want everyone to experience how much we love it. So it's like when you love something like that, you just want to like get everyone to feel that same way,
Well, yeah, that's interesting what you said too. And this probably isn't the case for everybody, but for yourself, you're like, hey, I'm not saying this is the best workout, but you're just so excited about it and you love it so much, like you want to share that joy with people, which I think is an interesting way of looking at it, because I think most people are probably think when they make the jokes, it's like, oh, here we go. They think this is the best thing, and the only way to get in shape, and here we go, hear the whole thing again.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of looking at it. So anybody who's tired of hearing CrossFit people talk about CrossFit, just think about it in a different way. Think about it like they just love it so much they want to share that joy with you. Just
I mean, I've met all of my best friends. I have like my good group of running girlfriends, but I'd say that my core group of friends have all come from this gym. Like, and they're like family to me. Like, we have a group chat called the fam. Like, we're all super, super close. We're all involved in everyone's life. Like, they're all like brothers and sisters to me. Like, and so I that just makes me feel very good. And I'm an empath, so I just want everyone to feel what I'm feeling, especially if they're frustrated with working out or just not motivated. I'm like, just come try it. Like, I guarantee there's not a single person in there that won't let you be motivated.
Right.
Yeah. Or won't let you not be motivated. Like, they're going to push you. And everything's totally scalable to skill level. Like, just because the workout's written this way, like the workout today, like the last 2 weights I couldn't do. So I just did a version that was challenging for me. And so it's, even if you can't do the actual workout, there's scalable options for every level until you can do it. And so that's what's nice too, is it's not like exclusive where you have to be able to do X, Y, and Z to do the workout,
Right.
And I think that's what scares a lot of people, is they feel that, because I think when CrossFit first came out, it definitely had that stigma of like, okay, if you can't do, this is the workout, this is how it's written, you have to do this weight. And it's like, well, it's day one. I can't do that weight. Like, what do I do? Like, get out.
Right.
And it's definitely not like that. Like, my first day, there's overhead squats, and they had me doing with an empty bar, and I was like Bambi with this thing.
I remember
and
you
he was
saying
like, here's a PVC pipe. Go ahead and work out that. And I was like, I'm on board. And that's also when I knew like this gym was good.
Right.
So.
Well, that makes sense, because like you had mentioned this, going from the running world to the CrossFit world, that you had to, like, it was really a humbling experience, because you went from like, hey, I'm a beast at this running thing to, okay, like you PVC pipe instead of the barbell. And so I imagine, that's the case for a lot of people. Like, I imagine, like, if they're able to get past that idea of like what they saw on Instagram or the workout they saw, like, someone who does it, who has done it for 10 years or however long it's been around. And they're like, okay, take that out of my mind and let me just kind of humble myself and know that I'm a beginner in this world. It's going to be really tough, but everybody starts somewhere, right? And
exactly what I tell people too. Like,
I
started
smart.
in that same spot as you. Like, people come in, they're like, you're just so good. And I'm like, really, I'm not that good.
Yeah.
But I came from where you, like, I did a post 1 year into CrossFit, and it was a side-by-side photo of what I look like at that race I had mentioned when I came in. I did that same race a year later, and a side-by-side of a photo from each race. And I looked totally different, 2 completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
I was heavier, but muscle.
Mm-hmm.
But I ran 5 minutes faster. I was running less, but lifting more, and kind of just posted like, hey, like, weights aren't bad. Because I think also a stigma with CrossFit is everyone sees the games athletes, the CrossFit games, and they're all just,
Yeah.
I mean, these women are so muscular. People are like, I don't want to look like that. I'm like, you won't. They're doing the amount of workouts that they are doing in a day, because this is their job, compared to the 1 hour you're going to get. You're not going to look like her, like at all. Like, I don't look like her, and I've been doing it for on and off for 5 years now. Like, you won't. So I think that's another thing that scares at least women. Like, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get big. I'm like, this is at your discretion. Like, you want to come 3 days a week and not get big, you're going to have 3 great workouts a week, and that's plenty. If you want to come in and get competitive, you're probably going to get a little bit more muscular, but like, you know, it's all just what you want to do and what you want to make it, really.
It's so funny you say that, because almost verbatim, that was a conversation, not a conversation. That was a story that my wife, Rachel, was telling me, because I'm not going to mention the school, but she's a high school PE teacher. I don't know if you knew that, but she's a high school PE teacher. And they were doing a weightlifting unit not too long ago. And she said that a girl came up to her or one of her coworkers and was concerned that if she did a certain lift, that she was going to look like a CrossFit athlete, like muscular. And my wife's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I saw you do the lift. You're fine. You're not going to like, she's like, you're going to be okay.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
But she was, her whole point, and then she talked to this girl, but her whole point was the exact same thing you said. She's like, the people that do that are elite athletes. Like, the chance of you, even a really good athlete, getting to that point is going to be really tough.
Because, I mean, I'm probably the most muscular I've ever been in my entire life now. And I'm probably 10 pounds heavier than I was in my running day. And I don't want to be any bigger. I just want to be better at my size.
Sure.
But, you know, like these women are working out probably 4 to 5 hours a day, you know, double days. Like, there's just no way they're not going to get big. So, right. I mean, you're going to get, if you're working out, you're going to get muscles. But again, you just limit it to what you want to do. You put into CrossFit what you want, you get out what you put in.
Sure.
So I think a lot of people just have a lot of misconceptions about it.
Right.
Because really, like, you know, everyone's not trying to go in there and the gym I'm in is very competitive. There's a lot of very, very good athletes. Like, we've had games athletes. We have one lady who's won 2 major competitions this year.
Wow.
We have a lot of very good people, but like you said earlier, like, the majority of our members are just like, I just want to come in and work out, hang out with my friends, like go home after that and eat a burger, you know?
Yeah.
They just want to come in and move.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned the food thing, because I'm sure, like, for me at least, and you hear these conversations all the time with any athlete, with any person who is into a certain kind of fitness, whether it be yoga. Because I think, like, if you hear someone's really into yoga, there's like a stereotype of like the kind of diet they have, right? Like, if you hear someone's a football player or like an athlete, you probably have like an idea. Okay, I bet they eat this.
Yeah,
I'm sure the same is for CrossFit. What does like a normal like eating day look like? Because I feel like some of it would probably surprise some people.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I mean, I think eating clean is the basic thing. Like, avoiding processed foods, avoiding processed sugars. We kind of
except for the peanut butter cups, Deb.
For the peanut butter cups.
She'll eat those. Yeah.
They're like my kryptonite.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you. I believe you were the person that posted a little while ago when they came out with that double peanut butter Reese's. What are we doing?
What?
Do you remember that? Was that you? Maybe it was someone else. It was like instead of chocolate, they just had peanut butter on the outside.
Oh yeah.
That was you, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
But why? Just eat a spoonful of peanut butter.
I'm sorry, Skippy already did this. What are you doing? They put it in a jar. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Don't fix what's not broken. Like, leave the Reese's alone. If anything, just double the size, make it bigger.
Which they have those, right?
They do. They have them with Reese's Pieces inside.
Okay, so that's something that it's like a kryptonite for me and my wife. It's the outrageous bars. Have you had those?
No, what's that?
Okay, so they have the nutrageous bars, which is like a chocolate bar with the Reese's in the middle, but then like, peanuts or something. This one is a chocolate bar with peanut butter, and then they have like those Reese's Pieces in the middle. It's the best thing ever. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So the Reese's King Cup, they'll have the King Cup, which is like the really big one, and it has the Reese's Pieces in it, and they're really good.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your thought, but that made me think about like
I don't remember what I was talking about anymore. And I got thinking about
stupid
Reese's.
peanut butter on peanut butter. What a dumb idea.
Normal day of eating.
Eating clean, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they kind of put out that rule of thumb, like when you go into the grocery store, you go into the meat and the produce section and you avoid all the aisles, like just the outskirts. If you ever notice a grocery store, the outskirts on the edges are always the meat, the produce, like all of that stuff. So you just go to those and then you avoid the middle, because the middle is usually where all the processed stuff is on the shelves. You know, the shelf life food. So just go around the perimeter and shop there. Like at Sprouts here in Folsom, I have like my route and then I just leave. And I avoid the middle unless I need something specific for like, or camping. I need graham crackers for s'mores or something like that. But for the most part, just hit the perimeter and that's it. Shop.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Like I know that a grocery store is set up that way, but that I didn't really think about it in the sense of if you stay out there, you're pretty much good.
Yeah. You just meat and produce and veggies are all right there. You're good to go.
Now, some of those stores, like I don't shop at Sprouts, but some of like the grocery stores like Rayleigh's or Bel Air, some of those places on the outskirts, they have like, that's where they have the cupcakes and the brownies and the cookies. So they try to trick you. Yeah.
No, that's true. In the bakery section.
In the bakery.
That's
so stay away from that section.
You gotta like put your blinders on, head down and go.
But it's that smell. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it smells so good.
The sugar.
Yeah, right.
But those sugar cookies are like the frosting on the top.
Oh, those are good.
Those are hard too.
What about
I had to be gluten free, otherwise I'd probably be at that.
Oh, that probably saves you. Yeah, I don't. So I fully engage with those things. And one of our favorites is the peanut butter cookie where it's half dipped in chocolate.
Yeah.
It's really good.
See, peanut butter and chocolate, that is the magic food, right?
I agree.
Anything peanut butter and chocolate.
I'm not even like a diehard peanut butter and chocolate person, but like I still love it. You know what I mean? Like I know some people it's like everything. I can't pass it up. It's delicious. Yeah. That's a weird thing about my Instagram. Like I follow some of these like WOD workouts or fitness people. And then I also follow, because I enjoy cooking. So I follow some food ones, and that it's a very bizarre place to be sometimes.
My roommate downstairs, she loves cooking.
Oh, nice.
She loves baking specifically, but she's probably the cleanest eater I've ever met in my entire life. Like that girl is on it. Like you look at like a ideal diet, it's her, like 100%.
Really?
But she makes all these really good healthy cookies, and she makes this zucchini brownies in the summertime. Ooh. You would never know that they're healthy, but gluten-free.
That's always nice.
She uses, they're so good. And she's down there making cookies right now for Super Bowl weekend. I'm like,
oh, nice.
You wish you could smell it. It smells so good. But she just uses very clean ingredients, and like every once in a while you can be like, yeah, this is a healthy cookie. But for the most part, I think it's been so long because I can't eat wheat anymore that I don't really remember what a lot of that tastes like. So to me, it just tastes great. But there's very good recipes you can find with like eating like she never buys like refined sugar. She'll use like a coconut type deal or almond flour or stuff like that. Makes it really good.
I always like, it's when you can find a good healthy one, it's nice. Because like you said, I tried doing the it's a few years ago, I tried doing the avocado chocolate mousse, and it tasted like avocado with chocolate. It was not good. Really? Yeah, it was not great. Do you like, or have you had it before?
Yeah, a friend of mine makes like an avocado pudding, and you would never know it was avocado. Like it just tastes like, it's really good. I don't know how he makes it. I'll have to ask him.
That's on me.
The recipe.
Yeah, Rachel tasted it. She's like, "Oh, this is like we dipped avocados in chocolate."
Like, what?
It was like barely polite too. She'll admit it. She's like, "Oh, this is not good." I said, "Yeah, no, I tried." But a couple of people have said they have better recipes, so I may need to try it again because I love avocados and obviously I love chocolate. You know, but that is not peanut butter and chocolate. You know what I mean? Those two, the one I created, they should stay separate. Like don't ever.
No one should eat my avocado. I'll have to find the recipe for you because his was, I've only had it the one time, but it was really good. Like I was blown away that it was made from avocado.
Yeah, please send it my way. Okay, so I have a question for you. So this is not something like I'm planning on doing, but it's piqued my interest because one of the podcasts I listen to pretty frequently, they've been talking a lot about Tough Mudders and that whole thing. I'm not in a place right now where I'm planning on doing one, but like it has piqued my interest. First of all, have you done one? And how difficult is it? Because like if you're doing like the 15K version, like how challenging is it?
I've actually never done a Tough Mudder. I've only ever done Spartans. Yeah.
Okay. Is that like a no-no for you as a Spartan runner? Like Tough Mudder.
No,
Not doing that nonsense.
No, I think it's just timing wise of when they've worked out. I just happen to have never done one. Like I'm definitely not against them. I don't think it's ever just fallen at a time where I could do it.
Got it. I wasn't sure if it was like a brand thing. Like if you're a Spartan, you don't mess with Tough Mudder.
I think a lot of like the pros used to cross over, but I think once Tough Mudder got rid of prize money, a lot of the pros stopped doing Tough Mudders.
They had prize money?
I think they used to. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting because I know people compete. And so one of the things I was curious about with those types of races, and maybe it applies to like the Spartan race too. So if you're competing, so say you have to like swing across like rings. What happens if you fall?
In Spartan, it's a 30 burpee penalty for any failed obstacle. It's a 30 burpee penalty.
Now, do you have to do the 30 burpees, or can you go back and attempt it again? So you can't attempt it again.
Some obstacles, yes. Most of them, no. But one's called, I think, the Olympus Wall, where it's like the wall, like just a flat wall, and then a bunch of like maybe 2x4s up really high.
Okay.
And so you have to run, jump up, pull yourself up on the wall till you get to those. I think that one, and maybe a couple others, you can do multiple tries, but most of them, like to get over just any wall, you can do as many tries as you want. But anything hanging, like the rings, the rig, I think it's called beater, and it looks like an egg beater. Yeah. When you jump on it, it swings. If you fall off that, so any of those, it's a 30 burpee penalty.
Got it. Okay. I was always curious how that works. It's like, if it was me, I'm like, I'm just going to jump in the water and swim across. But yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, they say you have to make an attempt. So sometimes in some of the races, like a lot of the pros, like if their hands are frozen, they'll jump up, maybe one or two, drop down and just go do the burpee penalty. Or even sometimes some events, they'll just have an extra loop penalty instead of burpees. Like I did the Jacksonville sprint in February of last year.
Okay.
And I missed my spear throw. And instead of a burpee penalty, it was an extra running loop. It was literally through a swamp. Like I was waiting for an alligator to bite me at any second. Super fun, but I was like, oh. But it was maybe like an extra 400-meter run. So sometimes they'll have a loop penalty versus burpees, but most often it's a 30 burpee penalty.
Interesting.
Okay. And then once you finish your burpees, you just continue on. Like you don't have to try again at the obstacle. You're done at that obstacle.
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. I was just curious how that works. I know it's a competition, but it seems like some of that stuff would be difficult. But yeah, if there's like a penalty, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you remember that show, Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge? Did you ever watch that?
I only saw like 1 or 2 episodes.
Would you do that?
I would try it. I don't think I'd be very good at it, but I would try it.
It just looks brutal. Like especially like the initial competitions when you're going head to head with someone.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be really tough. Like I know
you're very on the spot.
Right. Like, hey, you just need to fight this person for a title. Yeah. It's like, I'm not built for this. Yeah. I see those dudes like ex Marines and ex NFL guys. Like, nope, not gonna happen. Nope. But yeah, what about like American Ninja Warrior? Have you ever thought about that?
I actually get that a lot, that I should do it because I used to rock climb a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was an ex of mine got me into rock climbing probably like 2013 to 2016, 17. We would rock climb quite a bit, like outdoors. We'd go to the gym. I don't think I have a lot of the agility though. Like running, you just went one direction. So I don't have a lot of the agility and coordination. I think it'd be fun to like do it, but I don't think I'd be very good at it right now. I mean, if I trained at it, maybe, but a lot of grip strength, a lot of just kind of like calisthenics type strength. And I'm not super, super good at that stuff just because long distance running, it's, not a lot of that going on.
Right. Which makes
Ran
sense.
a little too slow for that, but I think it'd be really fun to try. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
the courses look fun, but
Right.
I'd probably end up in the water.
Okay. Got it. No, and you make a good point. I'm sure people that are in great shape and do like some of the stuff that you do, they probably get that all the time. It's like
Yeah.
American Ninja Warrior. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Because a lot of people think it's just strength that they get through, but those, I mean,
Sure.
which it is, like they definitely have to have good grip strength, but a lot of it is just very good agility and,
Right.
body, like you have to have a lot of body awareness to be able to do that kind of stuff.
What I imagine, I don't know if they've ever done studies on this, but I imagine there's maybe like an ideal height, weight, like
Probably.
athletic background that would be
Yeah.
more ideal for like being successful. Because I've watched it before, and you see some people, it's like, man, they're really fast and they seem to be really agile, but they're really small as far as height wise. And then it does make some of those obstacles way tougher.
Yeah. Because
So
they're at certain distances and stuff.
yeah. So it's interesting. Now, going back to the CrossFit stuff, and then I don't want to keep you too late. I know we're kind of running up against the time. I'm just talking at this point. So
you're good. I've got enough going on.
Hey, 3 hours then. We'll just go. It's so with CrossFit. So obviously you came from the running world, and I think, I don't know if we were recording when you mentioned this or if it was before we started recording, but mentioning like just like your frame, your body type, being a runner, it not presented certain challenges when you started CrossFit, but like you were at a certain level when you started CrossFit because of all of those things.
Yeah.
You see certain types of, is it more common to see certain types of athletes or certain type of like people with certain kinds of backgrounds come into CrossFit? Like, do you typically see a lot of runners come into it, or do you see people like used to be football players, or, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not a ton of runners, I don't think, because in the running world, like weights are bad. They're kind of taboo because like when you're running, you have to carry all the weight. So the lighter you are, the better.
Sure.
I think it's slowly starting to change. Like the gym puts on 2 nights a week. They have a Spartan class, like to prepare people for the Spartan races. And I've seen a lot of them, most of those people have running backgrounds and got into Spartan. A lot of them have joined the gym, which has been really cool to see.
Cool.
I'd say a lot of former collegiate athletes come in of kind of all backgrounds. Like we have one guy, Mac, who's a swimmer, was a great swimmer. He's really, really good at CrossFit. I think gymnasts tend to come in and do really well.
Oh,
because
interesting.
there's a lot of gymnastics movements, bar muscle ups, ring muscle ups, handstand walking that's in CrossFit. And they're all very strong just from the nature of their sport. So I think a lot of gymnasts come in and can do really, really well. I think a lot more of like the more agile sports, volleyball, basketball tend to do really well. Like I would say mixed sport athletes do really well because
Sure.
they've learned so many different motor skills through all their different sports, but runners tend to struggle. A lot of it is mobility issues. I think like I had very tight hips, very tight ankles, like where overhead squat was like nearly impossible for me. And it's just now getting like within the last 6 months where I can actually do like an overhead squat without looking like a runner doing an overhead squat. Just tight shoulder, like because your ankles don't move, you just can't get in the proper position.
Right.
So I think runners coming in definitely doesn't like translate super well.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say a lot of collegiate athletes kind of come in looking for that next, same thing as me, like that next competitive venture, where like
That next
swimming,
like high.
Yeah, because after you get out of college, a lot of these sports don't really have national level unless you're going to be like the Olympics. They don't really have anything like amateur in between. It's kind of like college, and then you either better be pro or you're kind of done.
Sure.
So I think a lot of them kind of find CrossFit as that next, like, I want to stay healthy, I still want to challenge, and CrossFit kind of just fills that hole.
Yeah, that's a great point, because there are certain sports that just, I mean, if you're a baseball or softball player, like you may not play at the same competitive level, but you have, I mean, basically every night of the week, you have slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
You can kind of scratch that itch, right? Like if you're a basketball player, you could probably go to any gym, any park, you'll see pickup games.
Pickup games and stuff. Yeah.
And so some are definitely, I mean, running, you can, I mean, really, if you're a runner and you want to keep running, you can pretty much run anytime, depending on the area that you
There's
live in, the
always
climate.
races you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, some of those, like you said, gymnasts, I mean, once you're done, like,
Like,
what
what
are
do
you,
you do?
what are you going to
Yeah.
do? Yeah. That'd be really difficult, but it's cool that there's something like that, that kind of, like I said, scratches that competitive itch for people.
Yeah.
And that they can kind of keep going back to what we said. And you're kind of, when you shared your story, if there is that struggle of like, what is my identity now?
Yeah.
There is something there that could potentially be an option for them to bridge that gap, which I think is awesome.
Totally. And they're also strong that, they probably come in a step ahead as well. I mean, I don't know, gymnast total training, but I imagine they're in the weight room a little bit to be able to make that power to do those backflips and all those turns high enough. Like, you got to have power in your legs. I'm sure they do some kind of weightlifting, so they've got that already. And
right,
I think it translates really, really well for them. A lot of the top women I know that were in like the games and stuff were former gymnasts and stuff, and they just have that body type as well.
right.
So
Interesting.
Yeah, and CrossFit's an interesting thing. Like, there's some people you wouldn't think are as good as they are, and they're very good, but it's also kind of a CrossFit joke. Like, all the really good men are like shorter and stockier.
Okay.
But if you look at like Olympic weightlifters, they're all short and stocky because they don't have to move the bar very far from the ground.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a CrossFit joke that they're all really short, beefy men. But then there's a couple, they're tall and strong, and they're the anomalies of the CrossFit world.
And see, there we go. That's why my workout went the way it did, because I'm 6 feet tall. What can you do?
Yeah.
It's about my body type. I couldn't do anything about it.
I got like long gangly arms. So that doesn't help me either, because I gotta like pull my arms really wide for the bar to hit where it's supposed to hit. And I'm like,
right.
Bad boys. They were good for when I was a swimmer, but not always helping me with CrossFit.
It's a disadvantage now. No, I remember in high school taking a weights, athletic weights class, and that was always the frustrating thing. Like, you would see these smaller guys that would just be able to squat, and it's like, and then they would
move the bar very far.
I know, and they're like, "Hey man, why aren't you doing more?" I'm like, "I'm trying." I'm like, I'm 6 feet, like 150 pounds. I'm very skinny in high school. What do you want me to do? So I remember that being the case.
Well, you got to move not only all that weight on the bar, you got to move all that weight on your body.
Right.
That whole range of motion where they're just like up and down and they're good.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, hey man, I have a lot of advantages being tall, but yes, you win here. Good for you.
But there are advantages here too, like the assault bike. I don't know if you've ever been on one of those. It's the worst machine ever created.
Okay, I really want to try it. I know I know it's horrible, but I do want to try it, because it's like that's where it gets more difficult the harder you try, right?
No, it just I mean, yes, only because the thing just is hard, but it doesn't put more resistance. There is a sled called the tank.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that does that. The harder you push, the more resistance it gives back. The assault bike is just a really hard machine because you're using your whole body. So like your, anaerobic aerobic systems are just on, all pistons are firing.
Right.
Hurts. But tall people, men are really good at that one. Tall people rowing, the taller you are, the more pull you get. So shorter people have a disadvantage there. So there's wall balls because you're higher up already, because it's a 9 and 10 foot target. So there's disadvantages to being tall, but you also have to travel a little further, where like my roomie downstairs, she's 5'2". So to throw to a 9 foot target, her little feet are coming off the ground every single time.
Sure.
So that's what's nice. Like, they tried with CrossFit, like everyone kind of has what they're good at and what they're not. Like I was saying, like, I'm good at the chippers, but maybe some of the weight stuff I'm just not as good at.
Right.
So you kind of have so like when they program competitions, they try to have all kinds of, like, every type of workout, like a heavy lift, some fast ones, some longer ones, just to give everyone, like, because the whole point is to be well-rounded. So if you're kind of like a triathlon, like if you're mediocre to good at all three, you're going to be a great triathlete. So same with CrossFit. If you're mediocre to good at all the types, you're going to be a great CrossFitter. But everyone has their kind of specialty at what they're best at in.
Which is a cool part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely parts that will humble you, but then there's parts that will give you hope. and say, hey, you can do this. This is not as bad as, it could be. Yeah. I like that.
You got it like with running as well. Like I'm good at marathons, but I am not good at 100-meter sprints. Like there's also in track and field, there's all these different events where you can find your best event, what you're the best at. You can complete all of them, the other ones, but you probably aren't going to be as great at some than others. So kind of a similar thing in CrossFit. There's just certain types of events that you're going to be good at and some you're not.
That's awesome. And like you mentioned before, you're an empathetic person. And so this whole podcast, you've been very kind. You've been making people feel good and that they can really do the CrossFit thing, which is awesome. You've been a good ambassador for the sport. So yeah, for sure. So that being said, and anybody who listens to the show, I have not done this for a while because I've forgotten a couple of times, but at the end of the show, we like to ask our guests. I should have prepped you for this. I apologize ahead of time. I did not mention it. It's not horrible, but like it puts you on the spot a little bit, but I think you'll be fine. We call it a connection suggestion. We like to, give our guests an opportunity to basically shout someone out. It could be a person, place, a brand, an organization. It could be a gym, something that you just feel like our audience should be aware of and should go, follow on social media.
Ooh. That is a good one. Trying to think who I mostly see that I find. I'm really big into like, I'm not always really good with my words. So I like to find quotes and stuff on Instagram that like express what I'm feeling or motivational. Like I like to post when I find something and I read it that like moves me. Mm-hmm. I like to share those because it's like, if I'm feeling something from this, like who knows who else is going to feel something, or who knows who needed to hear that certain thing one day. And now I'm completely drawing a blank. I think his name is the Captain, but his Instagram handle is kind of weird. It's a bunch of letters. I don't really know what it.
I'm gonna take a look.
I think I posted him before. Let me see. But he does swear. So for those of you who don't like swearing, don't look it up.
I have seen, now that you say that, I have seen
some of the stuff.
Posts. Well, yeah. I think I've seen you share it before.
Yeah, it's SGRSTK.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And this stuff is funny.
I like his realness, kind of like I was saying with Erin Wachter. Like I like the realness, the way he phrases things. But again, he does cuss. So for those of you who don't like that, maybe avoid it. But he's got very good points. He's very real and honest with his stuff. And that's something I always try to strive, is being very honest with people. And even if it means having an uncomfortable conversation, I just think things need to be said. And I think that came from, so I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the podcast, actually. My sister passed away in 2012, very suddenly. And it very much changed me to where I was like, I used to be very shy and reserved and kind of would just go along with what everybody wanted. And after she died, I was like, what, F that. Like, what if that was me? And I was gone the next day. I want to be honest with people. I want to tell people how I'm feeling, good or bad. I want to do what I want to do. I want to do what makes me happy, which is also came into play with the whole stopping running, going to CrossFit decision. Like, why am I spending my life miserable? And not that I was miserable running, but I wasn't enjoying it. Why am I spending my life that way if this is all the time I have? Like, if I died tomorrow, do I want my last day to be miserable doing something that's not making me happy? And so I think his page has really kind of like helped me realize, like, I can say what I want to say. I don't have to be a jerk about it. I don't have to be rude, but I can express what I'm feeling. And I think everyone should have the opportunity to say what they want to say. And I don't know, I just really like that kind of stuff. Like, that's something that just moves you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
makes you think about your life, makes you think about what truly makes me happy, makes me think about, am I enjoying this? Like, even just a couple weeks ago during the qualifiers, I don't know what was going on with me, but I had a total breakdown as CrossFit. I'm like, why am I not getting better? Why am I struggling so hard? Why is this stuff not connecting? Why this, why that, why this, why that? Kind of a lot of those same questions. I just had to sit down and be very real with myself. And something popped up with his that kind of like sparked my thought process, and was like, oh, like maybe I am just looking at this the wrong way. Like maybe I'm just, with running, everyone goes through a plateau. Maybe I'm just hitting that plateau, and here soon I'm going to break through. So anything that sparks thought, I think is kind of like I would always recommend to people, just like have these hard conversations with yourself, have the hard conversations with the people around you, because who knows what could come of it. You know what I mean? I don't know if I even answered your question at all.
No, 100%, 100%. That was a great answer. I think that's a perfect way to end the podcast. I think that just summarizes how people should, I think live life. I think
make those connections with people.
Yeah.
The people who want to be around and the people who are worth it being around, whether you have something good or bad to tell them, they're not going to leave, because I think so many people are afraid to have the hard conversations and say the hard things because they're afraid that someone's going to leave them. Well, if they're going to leave you because of that, then do you really want them around anyway? And it's obviously way easier said than done, but it's just been something since my sister passed that I'm like, if this isn't serving me in any way, then I'd rather go through the pain of losing them or whatever it may be. If it's not a person, because I'll get if I can get through losing her, I can get through anything else. That was the worst thing I've ever been through.
Can't even imagine.
So I think that's kind of sparked like that whole thing in me of like, honestly, it's kind of weird. Even in workouts, I'm like, okay, mentally I'm struggling. Physically, this obviously hurts, but I've been through that. I can get through this damn workout.
Yeah, for sure.
So finding that, but yeah, I think just it's made me value connections more and made me value my voice more. And so that's also something I think in CrossFit even has helped me get more confidence overall. I think just being able to do that is very freeing for one. And that's something I always try to get people to understand too, is like, once you kind of figured that out within yourself, it's such a freeing thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's an incredible outlet. No, I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. Like, so it's just one of those things, right? It's like an unfortunate way that it came about.
Yes.
But you're making the most of the situation. And just hearing you talk, it's kind of like you're, like doing so in her honor, I mean, like living that life to honor her almost too, which is really, and it kind of like her legacy can continue on because of that too, which is a cool thing. So
she was like my biggest fan. So I feel like I have to like keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. She was did not like athletics, but she was always at all my stuff, like cheering me on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of, I hate to call it a silver lining from that situation, but it kind of was like I'm a completely different person since before that happened. And I'm like, I value that. I had to go through that too. I wish it never happened, but
sure,
the fact that it did, is the reality. But I value what it did to me to make me who I am today.
Right.
Well,
thank you very much for sharing that. That was awesome. Like I said, that was definitely a perfect way to end the podcast. I'm not even gonna say anything else other than I don't want to ruin.
I need to like bring the mood down.
No. See, that's the funny thing though, is I don't think it brought the mood down at all. Like, obviously it's a very somber topic, but the outcome of what you're saying, right? Like the outcome and your mentality that kind of sparked because of that is clearly not a downer. You know what I mean? Like that's, if anything, that's super inspiring. So hopefully, and I know, people are going to listen to that, and I think that will really inspire, other people, because who knows? I mean, people might be in that very similar situation. So no, I think that's a great way to end it. Like I said, I'm not going to add anything else to that. I'm not going to ask any other dumb questions other than, can you tell us, if you want, where people can follow you? Where can they follow your gym too?
Yeah. So I'm mostly on Instagram. I have a Facebook. I don't use it very often, but I am on there, and you can follow me at Erin Wachter, or I'm Runs Wild on Instagram.
That's an awesome handle, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
There's a couple people that we follow. It's like, that's just like the best handle. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was funny, is it was a nickname in college. I think I had changed like MySpace or something like that to Run.
Okay.
There's supposed to be air run, but everyone
Sure.
said e-run. And I was like, oh, that kind of sticks.
Yeah.
It kind of faded away. And then when I started at CrossFit, there was a couple errands and they all started calling me e-run again. And I was like, it's meant to be.
It's stuck.
And then
Yeah.
I was really big into like backpacking and hiking and mountain biking and stuff by myself at the time.
Yeah.
And so it kind of has like that double entendre. Like I'm a runner, but I'm also just like, I like the wild and exploring and stuff. But
That's why it's awesome. It makes a lot of
e-run's
sense.
wild.
Very cool.
I think I'll keep it.
I think you should. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have to now, whether you like it or not, because that's how you're known.
It's kind of my identity. Yeah.
Right. And then, like I said, your gym. Like, you want to shout your gym out real quick?
Yeah. So they can be found. I believe it's Anywhere Fit. I should know this. Let me just double check.
Okay.
Yeah, I think on Instagram they are Anywhere Fit. Yeah, Anywhere Fit, and then an underscore.
Okay.
Show it to everyone if you want.
Boom. We can barely see it, but I get what you're saying.
So Anywhere Fit, and then anywherefit.com is their website. You can go on, they post their workouts, you can check out. We just actually opened a new gym this week in Rancho Cordova. So we have 4 gyms, downtown, Rockland, Folsom, and now Rancho Cordova.
Awesome.
All the same owner, all the same, morals, all the same vibe, kind of all of that. So there's plenty of options for wherever people live to get into the gym.
Awesome. So if you guys are looking for a workout, go check that out. And if you just want to follow Erin, because she's awesome, go do that as well. And thank you guys so much for listening. You guys can follow us at Connectable Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then Connectable Pod on Twitter. We would definitely appreciate a follow. Erin, as always, thank you so much. Thank you again. I'm gonna thank you on behalf of Deb, who again bailed the last minute, and then I had to send out the bat signal. It was like my brother.
I saw it.
I know. My brother. I usually reach out to my brother like, "Hey man, guess what?" He's like, "Did Deb bail?" I'm like, "Yeah."
He knows right away.
Yeah, he does. He's like, "You want to help me out?" And I love having him on. But I'm like, I'm gonna give him a break this week, and I'll reach out to Erin instead. So I definitely appreciate you helping us out.
Absolutely, anytime.
As you know, you're always welcome on this podcast. We enjoy talking to you. Maybe one day, you'll actually be on the podcast when Deb's here too.
Yeah, maybe the 3 of us, or maybe me, her, and your brother. Could you imagine?
There you go. That would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. So awesome, Erin. Well, thank you so much, and
my pleasure.
Good luck with everything that you have coming up.
All right, thanks. You too.
All right. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.